Hello, I'm Linda. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Australia, Linda Higgins, and hopefully you found me either via Pinterest, where I have lots of my videos and things, or YouTube, or maybe you found me via my blog. I'll put the blog details in the comments below, but today I'm showing you something really simple. It looks really impressive. Here's a couple of different versions of it. This is the Concertina card. I was given a beautiful swap made very similar to this by Doreen Becker during the recent Grand Vacation Stampin' Up incentive trip. We spent a beautiful week on the Allure of the Seas cruise boat with Stampin' Up, and I'm now back and busy creating again. So her card was just beautiful. I have made my own version of it, and I wanted to show it to you because it's actually very easy to do. So you can see the outside of the card is fairly simple and flat. When you open it up, it's this beautiful concertina, and I think it looks lovely. So I just want to show you. I'm not going to show you all the decorating today. There's another one here, very similar, different ribbons, but same idea. So I'm just going to show you how I got the base of the card. First of all, I'm in Australia, so our cardstock is a different size to the US and Canadian cardstock. We work with A4, like the Europeans, and I want to show you how I got it. I'm going to do the measurements in inches, as I know the bulk of my viewers are going to be doing this in inches, and I find inches quite easy to work with. However, I started out with a piece of paper that is lengthways half a piece of A4 cardstock. So if you're working with letter size in the US, you would just cut your cardstock in half lengthways. The actual measurement of this doesn't really matter, but the width doesn't really matter, but the length needs to be 11 inches. Okay, so we're working with a piece of paper that is 11 inches long, but the width is not so important. And then for the back of the card, so you can see that first piece is going to make the front. Okay, the back of the card, which actually becomes the front later. It's all a bit confusing, I know. Just trust me at this point. The back of the card needs to be 3 1/4 inches wide, this wide, and then this piece is 10 inches long. Okay, so you could actually play around with these measurements just like I did and change it up slightly, but to get the one that I did, these are the measurements I used. So 3 1/4 inches wide, 10 inches long for the back piece, and for the front concertina piece, 11 inches long and half a piece of cardstock wide. So in Australian terms, that would be 10.5 centimetres, because our cardstock is 21 centimetres wide, but I'm not quite sure what the letter size. I think it's 8 1/4, I think. So half of that, okay, wide. I hope that makes sense. All right, so once we've got our 11-inch piece, we're then going to score it. You can see I've already gone ahead and scored this piece, but this is the same size piece. I'll just show you. I'm going to be scoring, and I hope you can see this nice and clear. I'm using the Stampin' Up scoring tool, which I Simply Score, which I absolutely love. I think it's a really great scoring tool to have for any boxes or 3D items. And for cardstock, I use the thinner end of the scoring tool. I'm going to score it 1/2 inch, and then at 3, at 5 1/2, at 8, and 10 1/2. So by having a 10 1/2 score and a 1/2 inch score, you've scored 1/2 inch from each end. Okay, and we should have 5 score lines in total: 1/2, 3, 5 1/2, 8, and 10 1/2. Okay, so that's our front concertina piece. I'm not going to go, don't fold it at this point, just leave it flat. Okay, the back piece, the piece that you're going to have at the back, this one is 10 inches long, and you're going to score it at the halfway point, which is 5 inches. Okay, so this narrower piece gets scored at 5 inches, which is halfway. Okay, they're the two pieces that we want. Okay, then we're going to make our concertina. Now, the reason we keep this flat is it's a little easier to work with. You will need the Scalloped tag punch for this, and I have found this one a great one to use for all kinds of things. Before I start punching though, what I want to do is find the halfway point. You could just eyeball this and put it in at where you think is halfway, but if you want to get it exactly right, because each of these marks is 2 1/2 inches wide, you're going to go on 1 1/4, which is the halfway point on each one. And I found it easier to either use your scoring tool or use a ruler, either one. And I'm just going to go along and mark at 1 1/4 on each of those. each of those little sections. So 1 1/4. Now I'm not a big one for measuring. Measuring isn't my thing, but thankfully this is the only real bit of measuring you need to do. Everything else for you is pretty much done by the scoring tool or your stamping trimmer, either one. Okay, so I've now made a notch exactly halfway along each of my front panels. Okay, that's when I'm going to grab my scallop tab punch. Now, normally to put something in here, we would put it so it's 2 inches wide into the channel, like to make a tag or to make a bookmark or something like that. But because we're actually working with a big wide piece, what we want to do is we want to slide it. I'll see if you can see this. Okay, I want to slide it so the whole thing goes in there. And if you turn it upside down, I did it around the wrong way, I'll do it again. If you turn it upside down, okay, I'm actually going to put that little mark that I made that's exactly halfway right in the middle of the top of the tag. Now I've actually got a Sharpie and put a little mark there just so I know exactly where my middle bit is and match those 2 points up. Then you punch and you can see it's actually taken the notch out of the top here. Okay, we're going to move it along and do exactly the same thing. Just you might want to get your little bits of paper out in the meantime. Once again, put it in. So this is actually a really easy thing to do, but it looks really clever. And I like things that are easy but look clever. Okay, same thing, we're going to do this 4 times. Match up your points. And do it one last time. Okay, now we've got a piece that looks like this. So it's got your little scallops, but got a little piece sticking up in between. And that's when I'm going to get my trusty paper snips. And I'm actually going to nick all those off. Isn't this easy? Easier than what it looks, I know. Okay, now the end piece, what I did with this was I cut down the score line. You can just go straight across, it will still work for you, but I just think it looks neater if we go down the score line and trim off that little piece like we did with the others. And then I cut this one, this tab off on a like a mitered corner so that it actually will fold behind better and you won't see it. So that just helps make that neater when it comes to gluing it together. Take that little piece out and then we're going to miter that piece off, okay? And now we're ready to fold them, okay? So the piece at the back, just fold that neatly in half, probably press it down with a bone folder to give you a better fold, okay? And then I'm actually going to end up putting this piece here, this little piece here, attaching it to that. So what you want to do is you want to fold that piece at the front back, the little 1/2 inch score, and then the next one the opposite way. So you've got mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley fold. What I mean by that is, you know, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. I hope everyone probably knows that, okay? Alright, so then I'm actually going to end up putting this little piece here. You could go ahead and decorate it at this point before you put it together, but I actually put mine together straight away. Sticky strip is still your best thing at this point to use. And I have found that when you put your piece of sticky strip on, go closer to the score line rather than the outside line, because then you will get a neater edge at the front. Okay, and I'm just going to trim off. Well, the one thing with sticky strip is you can't tear it like you can with other types of tape because it's too strong. And the hardest part about sticky strip is always getting the red backing off. Okay, so I'm going to put that on there, line up the edge. Okay, and that's well and truly stuck, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So hopefully you can see now how it's coming together. It is very easy to do. I can see a million concertina cards coming our way because these really are easy. This was my Stamp Club project this month, and all the Stamp Club girls that made this loved it. Everyone just thought it was a terrific little card, and I'm so thankful for the swap card that inspired me to make it. Thank you, Doreen. Okay, so that's the shape of it. Okay, can you see now that it sits like this? Okay, I'll just move my scoring tool out of the way so you can see that. And then I would go ahead and decorate it. So I've used the watercolor Wonder paper, and I've got, which is available of course from my online store if you want to get yourself some. So I love the beautiful wash colors that this is. I've cut it so that it's exactly right to fit in there. Okay, so those two pieces are going, and then you'll decorate it. I've used what is it? Papillon Potpourri stamp set to cut my little butterfly, and the petite petals as well. And I've done variations of the same thing on these two cards. The You Make Me Happy is from the Watercolor Wonder set, and I use the Watercolor Wonder set to do all the inside panels as well. So all the inside panels are here, and I've decorated them, so one in each piece like that. And then I decorated them up, and you can see how I've decorated them. I've done very similar things on both my cards, almost identical, not quite. So you can see I've stamped the long flowers here. I've done a little gold glimmer heart, a champagne glimmer heart on a scalloped circle, and some dots from the Watercolor Wonder set. The Watercolor Wonder wash here, a little butterfly and some twine. With the ribbons, if you're wondering how I did those, I've used the crushed curry ribbon, the chevron ribbon here. This one I used the Coastal Cabana ruffled ribbon. You really can go to town and choose whatever ribbon you like, but I love to make it sit a little flatter. Rather than tying a knot or a bow, what I did was I fed my ribbon through and then just trimmed it off without tying it, and then tied a piece of twine around it. So it's just a piece of ribbon with a piece of twine tied in a bow around that, and that to me makes it sit a little flatter, and I think it folds better. So I hope you've enjoyed that. That was this month's Stamp Club project for anyone. I do have a spare Stamp Club place too if anyone wants to join me on a Wednesday every second month. But for everyone else out there in Blogland, I hope you enjoyed the little project, saw how easy it is, and come up with your own concertina cards. Have a great day. Bye.